everyone. Good afternoon. This will be our Endo Advocacy panel of the day. And on the stage, we have Casey,
Hi.
Melissa, Natalie,
Hey.
Tamesha,
Hi.
and Les.
Hey,
And
everybody.
And what we're going to do is make sure that we discuss endo advocacy, how you get started with endo advocacy, each of their experiences, and so much more information. So, with that being said, I would love to get us started. Who would like to introduce themselves first?
Everyone's like, huh?
I'll go first. My name is Tamesha Barnes. I'm from Mississippi. I was diagnosed with endometriosis in 2011. Took me a couple of years after diagnosis to actually start speaking out about it, but that's something that I've become very passionate about. So you can check me out on Instagram, ms_endo_warrior. That's my platform.
Thank you.
I'm not sure if there's anything else you wanted us to add or not.
No, we'll probably get more in detail once we start talking.
Okay.
I'll go. Hi, everyone. My name is Casey Joe. I am a 26-year-old beauty influencer located in Atlanta, Georgia. I was diagnosed with endometriosis in 2018, January of 2018, after pretty much showing signs of it since I was about 14 years old. And after being misdiagnosed with cancer, they finally properly checked everything and found out it was endometriosis. And I actually started talking about it right away just because I was actually trying to share with my family what was going on in my life, because I am a Latina, and Latinas, we got big families. So I was like, I'll talk about it on social media just so that way I can reach everyone all at once. And next thing you know, it just kind of happened.
Thank you for sharing. Next.
Hey, everybody. I'm Les Henderson. I live here in Prince George's County, Maryland. I found out I had endometriosis in 2014. Then in 2016, I had a lung collapse I found out I had thoracic endo. So you'll hear more about my journey throughout this program.
Thank you, Les. Melissa and Natalie.
Hi, my name's Natalie. I'm from the UK, from London. I was diagnosed with endometriosis in 2017. It took me at least 13 years for the GPs over here to listen and take me seriously. So yeah, you'll hear more about my journey later on.
Thank you. And Melissa.
Hi, my name's Melissa. I am from Southern California, born and raised. I'm 31 years old. I was misdiagnosed, and I started showing signs of endometriosis when I was like 11, 12, and it kept being dismissed as like just a bad period. From there, when I was 19, it got excruciating. So my uterus and my ovaries were twisted, pointing towards my spinal cord. So I had to have surgery immediately. My mom found a doctor, but at that time she was being diagnosed with cancer. I was being diagnosed with endo. So I kept my endo a secret for a very long time, for like about 6 years, because she was going through her stuff and she ended up passing away. So it was very difficult for me going through that. And I didn't want to stress my family out with more stuff. I was misdiagnosed in the beginning. And then finally I had to have 3 years of just ton of, ultrasounds, MRIs, blood work. Finally, I found a doctor that listened. He ended up doing my surgery, and it came back in 4 years, and it was pretty aggressive, and I was just tired of going to the doctor. Birth control almost killed me. So I ended up just deciding to go holistic in 2014. And then, I got diagnosed with endometriosis in 2010. That's when I had my surgery. 2014, I ended up just choosing everything holistic. I was going through a really sad, dark time, and my husband encouraged me to kind of go online, and I was like, should I? And yeah, I went online and I made this little blog like, hey, I have endo. Is there anybody out there? And sure enough, there were so many women that were messaging me, and it just kind of blew up in the sense more like a lot of women are just interested in the holistic sense. So I'm really like passionate about sharing other women's stories, sharing what they've done. So that's kind of where I'm at. Sorry, that was long.
No, no need to be sorry at all. We love to hear all of the information that you have to share because we think, of course, it is important. And I know that the information that every one of you shared today will be able to help someone else. So let's get started. The first question I have for each of you is, what does endo advocacy mean to you directly? I'm going to start off with Natalie.
I think it's just having, I don't even know what to say. Sorry, I'm having pains.
That's a part of advocacy right there.
Mhm.
Being here and being in pain. Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, girl.
Pushing through.
Yeah, there's that. I think it's just me, for one, over here, I didn't really see anyone that looked like me to speak to. Everything like that I've seen on the TV and when I go on social media, or mostly all the groups, was predominantly white women. So I couldn't relate to anyone. So I just thought I just wanted to start up my own, get my story out there and speak to other people, and also to kind of break that culture barrier of, I was raised by my gran, and my gran would be like, why are you talking about, you know, she's old school Caribbean, you know, from Barbados, and she'd be like, why are you talking, you're not meant to talk about things like that. And I think a lot of us have been raised like that. So for me, it was like, no, this is something that we need to speak about. And, you know, I want to create this space for other people to come and feel comfortable. To come and feel comfortable to speak to me. And I keep saying, sorry, this is painful. Yeah. Can I answer again in a bit?
I was about to say, we can go to another person, but it's okay. It's perfectly fine. Tamesha, for you, how do you believe that endo advocacy started for you, and what does it mean to your journey?
For me, my advocacy started because when I was first diagnosed in 2011, I didn't know anyone who had endometriosis. And I'd only heard of it 2 weeks prior to my diagnosis, just getting on Google, putting in my symptoms. So for me, it was having to learn what endometriosis is. How does endometriosis affect me in the long run? And I just felt so alone. I felt lost. I didn't have anyone I could turn to. So I started thinking about it, and I'm like, how many other women out there are like me? You know, how many other women are going through this and feel like they have no one that they can turn to? So for me, that's kind of how my advocacy started. It was basically giving a voice to women who didn't have one, to just let them know that they're not alone, and to just give endometriosis, let it become a household name so that people can talk about it, they can discuss it, they can know what's the symptoms, what do I look for? Because, period talk is such taboo. And I feel like in the Black community, it's very taboo. So a lot of people don't discuss it. So for me, it's like, I'm going to talk about it because somebody needs to know, and I need to help somebody on this journey so that they cannot feel how I felt when I was first diagnosed.
Thank you for that so much. Would anybody else like to add on or to share?
I say for me, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Go ahead, girl. Yeah.
For me, it's being vulnerable with my audience, and just kind of letting them know how I'm feeling from day to day. Just like most of you, I'm sure I've never heard of endometriosis when I was diagnosed. I couldn't pronounce it. I didn't even know how to spell it. I was like, I got what? What is that? I've never heard of it. But the moment I started talking about it, it was like little by little, there were people like, oh, I have that. Oh, my mom has that. My sister has that. My girlfriend has that. And I was like, wait a minute, I found out my boyfriend's sister had it. And I was just like, I've never heard of this before. And it was just a shocker to me. So I felt like, okay, I know I can't be the only one that's out there that has something that knows nothing about it. So for me, I just want to share as much knowledge. And advocacy for me means learning things about it that necessarily don't affect me right now. I talk a lot about being infertile, although I'm not trying to have a baby at all. I'm living my best 20s, but I want to, know these things and share with people, because I know I do have followers out there that want to have a baby, that are trying to have a baby. So it's pretty much just learning all avenues of it and sharing as much as I possibly can, and just kind of being a shoulder for my followers, so they can write me and say, hey, I just got diagnosed, or hey, they want to do some type of surgery procedure to find out if I have it, and just being an ear and letting them know, everything's going to be okay and you have a support system.
Yeah, can I add something?
Yes, you may.
Yeah. Can you guys hear me? Yeah. Okay, so I just wanted to say, for me, it's like advocacy means for me like giving women options. I want them to know that they don't only have to go to Western medicine. There is such thing as, Eastern medicine, Chinese medicine. I mean, just like ancient medicine and herbs. And so for me, it's like, I don't follow the traditional route that most people do. So for me, I like women to know, hey, there's options. Hey, there are things that work. There are other things that can relieve your pain, that can relieve your symptoms. For a long time, I wasn't ovulating. I had to do acupuncture. So, for me, I've gone through a lot of things. So for me, I feel like I'm there to let them know, hey, you have options, and be an advocate for yourself with the doctors. That for me, it's like the biggest thing. Like, you have to be strong and support yourself and say, no, this is what I want. This is my body. A lot of the times I think doctors influence us or pressure us to, use certain, like, I don't know, treatments that are not proper, that lead us to worse side effects. So for me, I have scientists hitting me up on Instagram, asking me questions, telling me things like, I have doctors. And the thing is, for me, I like to know the facts. And I'm a testimony in the sense where I've done things natural and it's worked for me. And if it's worked for me, I want to help other women. I want to share that. Like, I'm not going to sit here and hold back. I'm going to tell you everything I've done to help myself. So maybe there's somebody out there who's a teenager who's like, okay, and I've actually done that. I've done a panel for teen girls too, but I just want all women from all over the world, any type of background, to understand you have options wherever you are, whatever country, whatever state, I want you to know you have options. That's all, like, for me, as
Yeah, and you know what, and pretty much what everyone here said is completely valid. And what endo advocacy means to me, because there are so many layers to this. I'm a masculine of center lesbian. That's how I identify. And even starting from just going to the OBGYN, when I started going to them, just getting her going to get pap smears, it was just it was just a hot mess, because one OBGYN told me, well, you know what, unless you switch teams, you don't even need to come here. It's not like, you're having, let's be real, it's not like you're having, then she would, how some people do when they're talking about something that they feel is sensitive, you're not, having sex. So, I'm like, okay, so because I'm not having, heterosexual sex, you're telling me I don't need to come in here? So I'm like, yes. And I think about how many people, have heard that, something like that from their doctors, and just stopped going. I was recently doing some research and looking at this study where over 50% of non-cisgendered patients have to educate their doctors about, just when they in their appointments. Like, one person DM'd me on Instagram and said that he had to literally, like, his doctor started Googling, everything he was saying, during their appointment. And then, just to fast forward a little bit, for years, I would just have terrible periods. I didn't know, what was going on. Like Nat, I had my grandmother and my mother would be like, you know what, if you stop eating ice cream like all the times, I was a huge ice cream eater growing up. If you just stop walking barefoot all the time, don't, you
I
need
get
to,
that too.
yes, yeah, like, stop, you need to just take showers on your period, don't take a bath, that's why you're going through all this. So for years, and then when when I would go into the workforce, I'd be like, I need to go home. I need to clock out. This was around my early 20s. And I had a boss that just said, go back to my desk. Let's go get yourself some Anderson. Go grab some Anderson out the jar. Take about 9 of them, and then you can get back to work. Sit down for a few minutes and then get back to work. And then just to keep going through, certain things I was experiencing, with the OBGYN and at doctor's appointments in general. And then finally, in 2014, I was diagnosed with endometriosis. But then it was just a lot with that. So a doctor was like, here, take a syringe and take this liquid and just inject it. Something didn't feel right to me. So I went to the pharmacy across the street from my apartment, and they said, God, I'm glad you didn't do this. You would have accidentally killed yourself.
Oh my God.
So yeah, so it was just bananas. So after going through this, and then in 2016, I had a lung collapse, and I was hospitalized for about 2 weeks. And and then, even there at the doctor's at the hospital, people, some of the doctors would say, well, did you puff on too many backwoods? Did you, were you hitting the bone too hard?
What?
And it was, yes, this was what he said to me. And I'm just like, what the hell? I'm like, literally, I'm sitting there, I'm hysterical. My lung collapsed. I didn't know what was happening. I was crying. I was screaming. The woman I was seeing at that particular time, I was grabbing her hand, crying while they were jabbing the chest tube in my chest. And
Oh
so
my God.
so I just didn't want anybody else to, and then after the surgery, they said, they found, they had an OBGYN, also with the lung surgeon, to tell me that they had spotted like endo had traveled up my lung into my lungs, and that's how my lung collapsed. And so just after everything I had went through, and just going through this very dark depression, feeling like I had no one else, because I would find endo communities online, but they were very, everyone was feminine. And, so I didn't, I was like, gosh, where can I go? Who can I find? And so that's what inspired me to create Endo Queer. And what that is, and Endo Queer, and the information, y'all, is in the chat box. So y'all can, email, follow, whatever. And really have a support space for other LGBTQIA plus individuals dealing with endometriosis and similar illnesses. So just to continue to be heard, just to continue to educate not only the general public, but also medical professionals as well. Like, hey, you are going to get all types of patients. And if you can't get your bias in check, or be willing to really listen to your patients from all types of populations, then you need to get the hell out of that profession.
Perfect. Yep, that was it. I don't
I
really,
agree.
there's
Mm-hmm.
nothing really I can say about that. I think that's the biggest thing. And it seems like each of you have your own platforms, and you started this because a lack of, whether it was like a lack for African American or African women in, well, is it British American? Correct me, Natalie, before I say anything wrong. You're on mute.
Say Black British.
Black Britain. Oh,
Black British.
okay. So we have, whether it's a lack of Black British women getting representation, whether there was a lack of all of the options that you chose, whether Chinese, holistic, Western, whether it was just the fact that, there was not enough information about the LGBT community and how to actually speak to them. I think that is a really important thing. There shows like a lack of a lot of different things. And because of that, you all have started your own platforms, and you've created something. And I think a lot of times, one, I want to say thank you each for creating that. It's not an easy process. We know that. The fact that you are in this position to do something, to make that decision, to say, I am tired of X, Y, and Z happening. I'm tired of not being noticed. I'm tired of being ignored. There has to be a change. And it takes people who are willing to make that change, whether or not you're able to, make that change drastically, or you were pushed into that position. I think it's a wonderful thing. So definitely want to say thank you for that. What are some things that you have endured as being an endo advocate. We never really talk about those things. We always talk about endo advocacy, what it means, how to become one. But is it an easy process for you? Like, how does that feel? And anybody can join because I saw less. I saw Pleasant's face. So I do want you to like touch on that a little bit as far as it, and also when you are an endo advocate, do you share that with your doctor, and how do they treat you?
I guess I'll just go first. I do find it difficult at times because I feel like I feel like 2 years ago was not, no, 3 years ago, excuse me, was not that long ago. And I'm still learning so much about it because it's not talked about. This is not something that I heard about prior to being diagnosed. So I feel like I want to share and I want to help. And I'm like, I'm still learning right along with you guys. So it's just like, as I'm absorbing all this information, then I'm spitting it back out. So sometimes I do find myself a little stuck, like, okay, well, what do I do right now? This is not working for me. I'm in pain. What I usually do is not doing it for me this time. So I do find it a little bit difficult, but that's why I try to be as vulnerable with my audience as possible. And I let them know, it's normal to feel completely lost at times. I go through it. Do I share with my doctor? I actually have an amazing doctor. Although I moved to Atlanta, I still go to him. Well, I plan on still going to him because I just moved, because he's so comfortable answering any and all questions. So I do share, what I'm trying to do on social media, because I've never had a doctor so like just open and honest. Like, you know what, when it came to the whole birth control, we all been offered it, like, go on birth control. He told me straight up, like, don't do that. Like, he was completely honest with me, and it drew me back. I was like, whoa, like, for a doctor to say that, like, this is crazy. So I just have a lot of trust in him. And if anybody is in New York, in Brooklyn, his name is Michael Lewis. He's an amazing doctor. But yeah, so I do share that with him, because whenever I feel lost or confused or have any questions, I'm like, okay, so, how does this whole thing work? He's so open with explaining it to me. So
Thank you for that. Did anyone else want to share?
You know what? Yeah, it's all about vulnerability. If someone had told me that I would be on having these type of discussions with all of my identities about a very sensitive topic that we're still trying to unpack, I would have been like, no way. It's just so important, because for years, someone had told me, well, going back, someone was like, hey, you need to research this topic, and it was endometriosis. I had never heard of it. And just really just continuing to unpack, because of course there's already stigma around us being Black or people of color. Then you add on other identities, LGBTQIA, whether you're working class, your insurance status, and then adding on something like endometriosis, where people are still like, in the dark about it, or still like, oh God, I don't know what that is. It's definitely important just to be vulnerable. I mean, because sometimes some people like, man, I don't see how you can just talk to the whole world about something going on in your privates. And but this is really what's been said. And I said, you know what, I have to get comfortable. For after I had my lung collapse, I was depressed. I had just shut down. But I said, you know what, it's not going to help me, or anybody else, if I just continue to just feel sorry for myself and be mad with the world. I need to just tell my story. So sometimes it can be a little overwhelming, because sometimes you get requests from everywhere. You get sometimes people thinking, you're supposed to just answer them at all times of the day and night. But then in other ways, it is very, rewarding, because we're sharing our stories and we're helping so many people.
Oh yeah, can I add something? I feel like people forget that we're humans. I feel like I never planned on like having this blog or anything. It just happened. Like I was like, hey, let me share your story. Girls would hit me up like, I tried this, I tried that. You want to share it? Yeah, type it up. This person tried vitamin D, or this person did this. And I'll just put it out there, and other girls would message me like, hey, that worked for me, from all over the world. The first message I ever got was from a woman in Africa, and we still talk every single day. And I have girls from the South that were so close. Even Tamesha, like her and I had one, I think like a t-shirt contest from her. and she had sent me a t-shirt for Endo. And like from there, and it's the same thing, like back to like, I saw a lot of awareness, support, but they didn't look like me, and I was like, man, that's weird, and also I felt like, I don't know if it's a race thing, but it felt like I was trying to like be there, like, hey, I'm in LA, like, let's, meet up. And it didn't feel like it was very like, I don't know, like I wasn't getting the same energy back. So then, it's like, I'm like, whoever supports me, that's who I'm with. But I wanted to say, like, for me, it's like, I want women and me to know that you're strong. Yeah, we're vulnerable, but we're so freaking strong. Like going through all this pain, almost dying, and we're still going to work. We're still doing that. And I feel like that's enduring, like every day, getting up and just taking a shower, taking care of your kids, being moms. I'm like, I don't know how these women do it, or working, just like, how do you guys do it, man? It's tough. So for me, it's like, I want them to know, like, everyday life isn't easy for us. It's not, I wish it was, but it isn't, so I feel like I want to remind people that we're strong, we can be vulnerable and strong at the same time. And I'm super grateful that all these women have connected with me and that they feel comfortable to communicate with me. Even, males have communicated with me, and, queers and transgender. And I actually identify as bisexual. So I do understand that. I do, because I've been in that situation where I was discriminated against too, so I understand, and I look very feminine, so you wouldn't think that. But for me, it's like, we're enduring every single day by getting up and just going to work and doing this and talking about this, and period being taboo. Like, I'm sick of that. I feel like you want to put us out there, like our body out there on billboards, but you don't want to talk about the true essence of a woman. That's our biology.
What?
To bleed is our biology. There is nothing wrong with bleeding. That's who we are. Women, not women, but if we have that reproductive, if that's who we are, we shouldn't be ashamed, and that's what I want to take away, the taboo of talking about biology, human biology. So
You need to say that quote and put it on a shirt, right?
oh,
That was good. That was
Yeah.
good.
thank
Anybody else
you.
would like to share?
I would just like to add that personally for me, I really had to step outside of my comfort zone because naturally I'm a private person. I don't share a lot about my life with people. So to open up basically to the world about what was going on, it was hard. And some days are still hard because I suffer with infertility as a result. I had a 6-hour surgery in Atlanta in January of 2020 where I lost both tubes. A lot of people don't know that, but I still get questions about, oh, well, are you going to be able to have a baby? Like, where are you here? Like, a lot of people ask a lot of personal questions, and it takes some time to be able to open up and talk about those things. So it's tough, and some days are still hard. And I recently found out I've actually had 2 excision surgeries, and unfortunately, I'm in the 10% that have a recurrence of endometriosis. So I had my first excision in 2017, and I had my second one in 2020, and the endometriosis was just as bad as it was in 2017. So unfortunately, I'm not in that 90% that do not have a recurrence rate. So it still gets hard for me, and just to be able to continue to speak on it, continue to help others, because I get tons of messages from different people about different things. So it's hard, but I think in the end, for me, it would have been worth it because the messages that you get that says, you helped me, if it wasn't for you, those make it worthwhile and it gives you that push to keep going.
Can I add something? Something that just kind of popped in my head. It kind of brought me back to when I was first diagnosed. I think one part that a lot of people don't really notice is that when you are, so I was 23, I'm 26 now. So I was 23 at the time I got diagnosed. The amount of pressure I got to try to have a baby immediately, and it was so overwhelming. So the boyfriend that I talked about, we're no longer together, but at the time we had already been together maybe like 4 years, and we'd known each other since I was 13. So they're like, well, you're with somebody you're probably going to be with for the rest of your life anyway. So you might as well just go ahead and have a baby right now if you can. You just had the surgery, just go ahead and do it. And it was like, I don't feel it's fair that I should be pressured to completely change my life because I have this condition. I want to continue to live my life and build myself and build my career and do these things. I don't want it to be because of a condition now I have to completely stop and just say, all right, let me have a baby. And I don't think that's something everybody talks about, because I totally understand like the pressure that women feel when they're trying to conceive and can't. But I'm like, there's a lot of pressure for us also who's not trying to, but our families are like, well, you have to do it because you might never be able to. And it's just like, oh, wait a minute. I almost did it. I did consider it. And I had to stop myself and say, you know what? This was not in your life plan. And if you're meant to be a mother in the future, then, you'll have that opportunity. But just keep going with your plan. Don't let this steer you off track. And that was something that messed with me that first year. I went through a really deep depression because I was like, wow, I really have to completely change my whole life because of this. And it was heartbreaking. That was something that was really, really difficult for me to deal with.
Yeah, it was like you
I
have
understand that 100% because
Me
I was
too.
the same way. My
Me
doctor
too.
kind of pressured me, and I was at a point, and granted, my boyfriend at the time is now my husband, but I didn't feel like I was at that point where we were ready to start a family. But the pressure was definitely there. You need to go ahead and do this now. And I'm like, no.
Yep.
It's like, wait a minute. I
I
had
mean,
to
even going through
straighten it up.
infertility now, I'm still glad that I didn't proceed at that time because we just weren't ready.
babies
Yeah.
cost money. I don't think it costs money to go to the doctor's office just to see y'all and to talk to y'all. But the first thing you want to do is try to pressure someone to have a child because they have endometriosis, not even knowing if they are in a percentage of infertility. So now you're pushing them into a position where now they're actually trying and they may not even be able to conceive, and you really don't even know that.
Right.
Yeah,
And
that
now
was
I have
me.
to go through
Right.
that motion of being sad about that. Like, I'm trying and I
Yeah.
can't. I
I
actually had
was married.
a conversation with my mom because I was like, I know you're just worried that you will not be able to have like a grandchild by me, but I need you to stop bringing it up. I feel like you keep bringing it up over and over again, and you don't understand that the stress that it puts me through mentally.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, I was married. Oh, I'm
My
sorry.
oh, sorry.
Go
No,
ahead.
my doctor told me this was just before he would sent my referral, and he told me about, like, obviously he said it can make you infertile, and he said, well, you're a grandma trying to get pregnant right now if you look at your age. And at the time, I'm 38 this year, so this was like a couple of years ago, so I must have been about 35. And I was like, really? You're really gonna tell me that? But then when I was diagnosed with polycystic ovaries in my early 20s, they were like, yeah, you need to try and get pregnant now. And I was like 21. I was like, no, I'm not ready for that yet. I've got these plans and this is what I want to do. And I was like, I'm not going to get pregnant just for anybody, because at the time I wasn't even in a relationship.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I get it. They were like, hey, look, they was like, look, I know you live how you live. This is another OBGYN I dumped. Then I was in my early 20s at the time. They were like, hey, you're having a lot of problems there, just have a little baby or something. It's no big deal, or just get everything scooped. And for me, I know plenty of people that's had hystos. Yeah, they literally said, just
Mhm.
get it scooped. And I've known people that's had hystos, and they've still had a lot of issues. So I've applied a lot of holistic methods, like Melissa, and that has, helped. So definitely don't let people, the y'all that are watching this, don't, feel like you have to be pressured to do something. Explore all options.
I will say I am married. I've been married for over about 10 years. So when I had met my husband, I had just gotten diagnosed, and I told him straight up, like, hey, I might not be able to have kids. So if you want to be with me, I was 19 and I got diagnosed at 21. So 21, I'm telling this guy, I met him at 20. I'm like telling him I might not be able to. He didn't care. He went to my surgery. I didn't want him there, but he got there. That's what made me fall in love. And my doctor he's a fertility specialist. He's actually not an endometriosis specialist. He's a fertility specialist, because I couldn't find an endometriosis specialist. And now I had found her. She's in Beverly Hills, and I had really good insurance, but I don't even know if that would cover, so I'm looking at my budget, and he was like praised, talked about. And So my mom found him. So I went with him and I still go to him. I've been seeing him since I was 19. I'm 31 now. We have a really good relationship. He pushes certain things and I tell him, hey, don't push that because it's not going to work on me. This is what I'm doing. And he's so impressed with my holistic situation that he's like, I don't know what you're doing, but it's working. Keep doing it. But I wanted to tell you guys, I went that way. Like I listened to him and I was like, I'm in love. I'm married. I'm stable. I want to have a baby. I don't know how long it's going to take me. It took me, I think I would say between 5 to 7 years to conceive naturally, because they told me you might not be able to. I went to a fertility specialist. I did all this stuff, my husband and I, and it put so much pressure, so much stress on my marriage. My husband's Native American, part Native American, part Latino. We were mixed and it's just big family. And when are you gonna have kids? And then I ended up getting pregnant twice naturally. I miscarried and they still kept asking, when are you gonna have it? I'm like, I just miscarried, but when are you gonna have it? That was like a couple weeks ago, so I'm still going through it. 2016, I got pregnant, then again, 2018. And then I ended up with fibroids after, so it's like, I'm like, damn, like what's going on? But I'm very proud of myself and my body because I proved the doctors wrong. They were like, you're not going to be able to. I did it on my own. No help from anybody but myself, and that's when I found out I wasn't even ovulating for like a year or two, not ovulating. I'm over here thinking like, I'm fine. And that's what it was. And I wasn't getting pregnant. And so for me, it's like, there are women like me that will end up going that way. And I'm super proud of you guys for not going that way. And I wish I didn't go that way because I think it would have saved me a lot of years of me feeling so depressed and down on myself, feeling like, am I less of a woman because I can't do something that's supposedly so simple for women, So that's something that for me, I had a battle, but at the end, it taught me a lot about my body, so much. And I'm all about my body. I listen to her and, she's been through so much and I'm so grateful that I was even able to experience pregnancy. Yeah, I wasn't able to experience the whole thing, but at least I was able to do that. And that's at least what I'm happy with. You know what I mean? But I'm proud of you girls. Like, I wish I had you girls tell me like, no, girl, don't do that. I need girls. And that's another thing, the reason I have my awareness, it's like, not even the messages I get, it's how the love that I get, the support and how much that empowers me, just the support and love that I'm giving and that I'm getting back. And like, that just means the world to me. I don't even have to get anything. I don't care. As long as a girl's like telling me, hey, that worked. I'm not in pain. Or, hey, whatever you did, like, I was feeling suicidal because what you put up there, I'm not, because you go through a lot of depression. So I have covered a lot of mental health along with my endometriosis now. So yeah.
I think that one, that's beautiful for you sharing that. I think that when you go through certain things like that, you learn a lot about it. But I feel like sometimes I wish we don't have to still go through it. Like you could have just told me in a book, I would have read it. Like somebody shared it with me. I don't want to go through this, but I understand it because now you have that experience. Now you can sit here and tell people about your experience and teach people what they shouldn't be doing, things of that nature. I did want to circle back. Tamesha and Melissa, and then I think other people actually said some things that really resonated as far as like what people don't recognize about endo advocacy or how it is to be an endo advocate. We talked about how vulnerability is something that we have to do, and it's not always something that we want to do, but it's something that we happen to share. But people also tend to forget that we're humans, and they think that we're robots, so they expect us to be able to respond every single moment, every single opportunity. And it's like, sometimes you just need a moment for yourself, for your mental health. So, what do you do in particular when it comes to your mental health as being an endo advocate? How do you manage it, and how do you try to make sure that you're taking care or doing self care?
If I can answer that, I've had a couple of experiences where girls tell me, we love you so much because you answer back to us. And I'm very like, I'm on it. But recently there was a kind of misunderstanding between somebody and their sister wrote me this really horrible message telling me that I'm probably faking that I have endometriosis. Yeah, that I'm probably just like, and it was like the text was so misunderstood. Like, I was answering her question to the previous, and it was like crazy. And so I learned my lesson. Like sometimes messages can be ignored. Sometimes they need to be ignored, and that's okay, because sometimes I don't have a response to what you're asking me. And a lot of the times I remind people, I am not a licensed doctor. I'm not a medical doctor. I'm not a holistic doctor. This is what has worked for me and some women. It might not work for you. It might work for you. I don't know, but I can only be here as a support system. But I'm not here to give medical advice as far as like what you wanted. I can just give you these little facts out there, these little testimonies, and it's up to you, because I'm no one to sit there and decide whether you want a hysterectomy or not, you know? And for me, I've realized it's small doses. You know, I put myself out there, but I'm very careful with what I write. I'm very careful with what I say, because we're living in an era where, you know, everyone, I'm very sensitive. And I know others are too. And not everyone's perspective is the same as me. I can say, hey, this is red, but somebody's like, no, it's pink, you know? So for me, I remind myself, all right, small doses. This is where I'm going to keep it professional. You know, there's some women that I do talk to on the daily and I have this special relationship with. But as far as others, like when I get a lot of messages, sometimes, you know, I'll just keep it very vague, very just surface, not get too deep because of that particular. And I'll tell you, girls, I had set up endometriosis meetings with girls like twice. We had like a meetup, like a potluck. And the girl and I were very close. Like I went to her house, I met like, and I apologized, you know, and everything, but it got to the point where I'm like, I'm not going to put up with that. Like your sister attacking me, attacking an illness. Why would I lie? You know, why would I lie about, I wish I was lying, you know, I wish I could say, you want me to give you my freaking medical record to show you? And that's another thing. Like, why do I have to defend myself against a girl who I helped, who I was trying to help, who I was being supportive, and yet her family's attacking me? And I'm thinking, it doesn't matter if you have endometriosis or not. People are going to act how they're going to act. You know what I mean? Even though we want to be sisters, we want to be there for each other, we have the same illness, doesn't mean we have the same mindset. And that really sucks in the sense, but for me, it's like, I don't need that because I'm already going through stuff and I'm here helping. I'm not here to cause issues or misunderstandings. And so again, I keep it very professional with my girls or with people that interact with me. And like, if I get gross messages from guys, I block them. You know, I completely block them because I don't want anything being written on my pages about other women. I block all that negativity, you know? So.
Thank you. Anyone else?
I just create pockets of pockets each day where I'm like, I'm not going to answer your emails. I'm not answering no messages. I'm just going to have some time to myself, like I am after this program. And that's just real about it. I mean, between my day job, endo queer, other things I'm involved with, I'm like, no, I just have to have a little time for myself, you know, or I may tell someone, hey, let's talk next week, or or we'll set aside some time to talk. I've just like had to really put those boundaries on myself, because I mean, I'm the type of person I'll go out my way and just try to help everybody, neglecting my own time. But I'm like, you know what, bump that, no more. So that's what really helps me, is just creating those pockets of time for myself.
That's good.
And I would kind of say I'm the same way. I have to set time where it's all about me and nobody else. I like to bake. So a lot of the times I just get in the kitchen with my music and I bake up some stuff. I don't answer any calls, any text messages. I don't respond to any messages. But during the time that I am active, you know, I try to help as many people as I can. I try to answer as many questions as I can. But you do have the pushy people that, you know, they want an answer and they want an answer right now. And like Melissa said, you can't help everybody. And that's what I've learned, not just with the endo advocacy, but just in life in general. You can't help everyone. So I take that time and I just focus on me. I write poetry. I mean, just however I'm feeling that day, that's the zone that I'm in. And it's just all about me. And I have no regrets about it.
Yeah.
I live
I
in a
wanted, oh,
social.
sorry, go ahead.
I'm sorry. I live my life on social media. This is my full-time job. And so from doing endometriosis to talking about natural hair, to talking about my veneers, to talking about makeup, to talking about I'm always on social media. So I have to take that time and I'm like, okay, phone down. That's enough is enough. I am tired of, being on Instagram. And the thing about it is not only do I just talk about endometriosis for those people, but on YouTube, I talk a lot about periods in general. So all women have their period for the most part. I'll say probably like 95%. So it's not only just endometriosis warriors, but it's also just everybody else asking me questions. Well, how do I deal with cramps? And what I've noticed is majority of my audience are younger girls who are just now getting their period. And they tend to be the pushiest out of all, So I just have to take time and I'm like, listen, I'm just putting the phone down. I'll get to it when I get to it. Whether I'm watching a murder documentary or, just chilling, eating Doritos, like whatever it is, I'm away from my phone, well, as away as I possibly can be without my mom being mad at me, and just trying to just enjoy that time away from social media as much as possible.
Right. And, and just real quick, and sometimes it is, it's like, we put in our self-care, but with us being Black and people of color, there's so many disparities. For a lot of people, we're like their lifeline, we're like their health line. They look to us. And, while it's easy to get caught up in that, especially as we see now, with COVID and and with mutual aid and, and everything, it can be so tempting to just drop everything and help people 24/7. But what I realized is that battery will run down quick. And it's like, even though it's like, or sometimes I'll just be like, okay, look, here's someone else you may want to, go to as well that can help you. I'll definitely point you, in a direction, another direction as well, especially if it's like something very serious or something like that. But I definitely, it's definitely important to incorporate that self-care, for yourself, even with the populations that we do help and support.
I wanted to add that I actually, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, like, for me, it was, I was bombarded with messages. When it was Black Lives Matter, for me, it was like everyone, I just felt like I got a whole load of new followers. All these people were messaging me. And then certain charities were contacting me, oh, can you do this and can you do that? And it was just like, so I'm going to be this person, the face for the Black British. And it was just like, it was a lot. But even though like I kind of felt a bit tokenized, I felt like it's something that I also needed to do. So I took that on. And days that it was draining, there was days I was upset, there was days I was crying, there's days obviously because I suffer with anxiety as well, and I have panic attacks with traveling. So sometimes going and doing things, I would be a bit all over the place, and then there was days I was just like, I just need to just have a bath, or I just need to have a glass of rum, and I just need to breathe.
Yeah.
Rum girl. I just need to breathe, because it was a lot. And I will say thank you to Lauren, because throughout that time you did support me, and it's I shouldn't say weird, but I had more support from the States than I did here, and that's me being real.
Yes, yeah.
Like, and everyone thought I was from the States. But I've had loads of messages, and it's those, and what do you think about this? And I was just like, well, this is a lot for me to process. It's a lot. I'm still learning myself. I just started learning about thoracic endometriosis, endo on my left leg. I'm still going through all the stuff that I'm going through, plus trying to be on the BBC and doing all these other things. It was just so much. I was just like, no, I'm giving myself a spa day. I'm having my rum or my Prosecco by my side, and I just need to chill. Like, yeah, I do that. And I would message people and just say, I'm not feeling too great. I will get back to you as soon as I can. But if you do need to speak to someone, yeah, just like, let's redirect them, redirect them to someone else that you trust, that can give them the information that they need, or a website or something.
And I was just going to say really quick because you said like it was a mental health question. I was going to say I actually go to therapy between 2 to 3 times a week. And I do kind of share that because I was diagnosed with chronic depression and PTSD. So I actually shared that journey of me being diagnosed, and I was misdiagnosed in the beginning too, but I was super hesitant to put that out there. But I feel like when I put that out there, it lets people know, all right, she's having a therapy session. If she's not answering back, it's probably because she needs some time. But that's my way also of taking care of my mental health, recognizing that I'm going through this and I need therapy. And now, I've been going to therapy 5 years, off and on 5 years. And now I was in therapy for a whole year, for 3 times a week, intense. And now I'm doing every 2 weeks or every once a week. But also I do archery. That's something that actually helps me so much. I don't know if you see my bow over here.
Follow her.
Okay, play. She's got a boat.
Yeah.
So yeah, I shoot archery every Sunday. I'm at the range. I hang out. I'm a tomboy. I look very feminine girly, but I'm a big tomboy. I'm out hiking. I work with my animals. I work with dogs. So for me, I'm like, man, I need to be in the forest. I need to get away from the city. That's my way of clearing my mental health. Also, like if there's shit going on social media, sorry, my cursing, but sometimes, man, it's too much news, it's COVID, endo this, endo. And sometimes I want to forget that I have endo. Sometimes I want to
For
forget
sure.
that it
Yeah.
doesn't
Talk
revolve
about it.
around me,
For
right?
sure.
And I'm like, dude, I
Right.
want to go shoot. Like, I don't want to freaking think about this period, or I'm in pain on my period, but I'll go shoot and I feel so much better, So that's my way of taking care of my mental health. Because sometimes I want to forget that I'm an endo warrior. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want it to define my freaking life. It is who I am. It is who I am. And I love it because it's made me strong. But hey, I run this show. Like, bitch, endo, get out the way. I run this
Yeah,
show.
for sure.
You know what I mean?
Thank you, Melissa. I love that. I just wanted to say that you all have touched on so many amazing points. So if you see me looking down, it's because I'm writing stuff down. We talked about mental health, the self-care behind it, making sure that you're doing what you have to do. Melissa, you really hit it on the head when you said going to the forest. A lot of times, and for me, like, that represents noise. I just got to find some quietness. You know what I'm saying? So whether it's me being in the city and it's too loud, or whether it's me just going in my room and just like focusing, or going to the spa, or, basic
Yes.
where you just need something to relax. I go get my nails done for my self-care. That's my relax, honestly. And that was amazing. Thank you so much. I think we also mentioned, Tamesha, time management, and making sure that you have set some time aside. And Les talked about the pockets and making sure that today I am doing this, today I'm doing this, tomorrow I'm not touching nothing. So
Yeah.
making sure that you have those pockets and you do those things like that. And Natalie, I always got your back with the support. I know exactly how you felt, and I know exactly what you were hitting on. So I think that's so important. Casey, you said we're still learning. I I don't think that's a problem for us, because the medical industry is still learning. That is the thing right there, is the fact that none of us know. I don't want to say none of us
Yes.
know anything, but none of us know everything, and
Yeah.
it's every single day. Even learning about endometriosis in the brain, learning about the pain in your left leg, which I already knew about, but I'm like, oh, we have a name for it now. Okay, cool. Like, we're getting somewhere, but it's like you're still learning. So also at the same time, I think that sometimes people have to give us grace. Give us grace because we have endometriosis too. Give us grace because we are human. We have to worry about our self-care. We can't preach self-care and then not do self-care. So it has to go hand in hand with that. So I think it's important for people to allow endo advocates to have that grace and have that period, but understand that, endo advocates are here to support you, but you just have to give us that moment where we can make sure, because at the end of the day, talking to other people about endometriosis, their endometriosis can become overwhelming. We talk to our
So
friends,
you take their energy on.
right? You're taking the energy. And I think all of us on this stage have that type of characteristic where we absorb energy because we're doing this. The reason why we decided to become endo advocates in the first place is because we feel the pain of other people. So when we do this type of things and we talk about it, we're talking about it, we're putting the energy out, but most of the time we're putting out positive energy. We're trying to encourage people, we're trying to motivate people, we're trying to get them to go to the doctors, trying to get them to do holistic approaches, trying to get them to do the research. But when you come and ask us questions, the questions turn into stories and experiences, and we feel. So I think that that is the biggest thing for us, because how we feel really controls our mood and how we can respond. So it's just important to make sure that we're giving endo advocates graces. I do want to touch on really quickly though, two more questions before we hop off today. The first one is people of color. We have talked about that, but not really in a whole conversation. It's been there because we are people of color. So, of course, we don't have a problem talking about race at all. I think that talking about race allows us to have some type of education behind it so we can recognize what we need to do to move forward. So, for endo advocates, um, you all, please share what your thoughts are about the lack of awareness for people of color. Do you think it has changed, and what we can do to change it?
I think it's no secret that as Black women, we are the most, what is the word I'm looking for? Like neglected when it comes to our doctors, unfortunately. And I also think the way that we are raised to keep these kind of things under wraps. Don't talk about it, don't speak about it. Nobody needs to be in your business. So I feel like when it comes to endometriosis, that's the reason why there's really not that much discussion or that much knowledge about it, because we're all like, everybody's like taking a step back, like, I'm not about to talk about what's going on down there on social media or to anyone. So not even a friend. I think a lot of us, we had maybe strict parents. I was fortunate enough to have a very open mom and sister that I can talk to about anything, but I cannot say that for any of my other friends. My friends went to my mom to talk to them about it. So I feel like a lot of times we are like afraid to talk to our parents about it, so it takes longer to get that answer because you're just so, taken back. So I'm proud of Endo Black for having this platform for Black women to, feel like, okay, there is people I can talk to about it. I don't have to, keep this under wraps. I do wish that doctors will take us more serious. I read somewhere, I don't have the specific numbers, but we are like less likely to be diagnosed with endometriosis because we're not taken serious. And that is, to me, like the most unfortunate part about all of this. But I'm hoping to see a change, especially in the Black community. So that way, we can just feel a little bit more comfortable just discussing what's going on and we can get more answers. I know for me, talking about what was going on with me when I was in the process of being diagnosed, I was actually working at MAC at the time. We had like a staff of 70 and probably 60 of them were women. I can say about 3 different coworkers all came to me privately and asked me like, hey, like, so what's going on? I was comfortable enough to tell them. But what I didn't know is they were asking me because they had then got diagnosed right after me. But they never told anybody what was going on. They never shared with anyone because they were afraid. But me coming to work and I'm like, yeah, guys, so this is why I was out of work for 2 months and I have this thing called endometriosis and da-da-da. They were like, slowly but surely, all of them started to pull me aside and say, hey, like, what's going on? I'm thinking they just want to know. But truth be told is they had the same thing. They were going through the same thing, but they had no one to talk to about it, or they just felt uncomfortable talking about it. So I'm just hoping to see some change. And I think the more we give that, what is the word I'm looking for? We're showing an example of, that it's okay to talk about it. I think more people will go to the doctor and, demand these things. Like, no, I feel like this is what's happening because I heard 50 other women on a panel say that this is what they went through and I'm experiencing the same thing. So I need you to do what you need to do to find out this is what the problem is.
Thank you. Anyone else would like to share?
I
I
think,
would just like,
oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was just wanting to say, I don't think a lot has changed. It took me almost 9 years to get my diagnosis. And like I said, I was diagnosed in 2011. And sadly, here we are in 2021, and it doesn't seem like we're still not being taken seriously by doctors. You know, I have women reaching out to me saying, how can I get my doctor to look into this? I think I have endo. How can I get them to, you know, take me serious? And sadly, I tell them you can't. The best thing you can do is find another doctor. I mean, I can't tell you how many doctors I had to go to even get on the right track to get a
Me too.
diagnosis.
Yeah.
There was one year I went to the ER almost a dozen times, just about every month with my cycle. I was in the hospital, and they just kept saying, I don't see anything wrong. They would give me an IV with Toradol or something and send me home. Well, the next month, I'm back in the ER. And it just so happened, one of my visits, probably about the 11th or 12th one, I finally got a female doctor in the ER that night for the first time. And she said every doctor before her notated that I had stomach pains. And she said, what you're feeling is not stomach pain, it's pelvic pain. And there's a difference. And she sent me for tests. And that's how I got on the track of getting diagnosed with endo. And since then, like I said, not a lot has changed. I mean, I can't tell you the number of messages I get about how can I get diagnosed? How can I get my doctor to take me serious with this? And I'm hoping it's something that we see change soon. But as of right now, I don't feel we're there.
I feel like because I feel like as women, no matter what color you are, what race, in the medical industry, a lot of these tests that they used to do, a lot of these pharmaceutical drugs that they tested was mainly tested only on males. It was never tested on females. They didn't start doing testing until I think it was like in the 90s on women. So if you really think about it, the medical industry and pharmaceutical is not suited for women. It's not designed for women. It's only designed for men. And I think ultimately the root of it is that we're dealing with the sex discrimination. You deal with a lot of that, even less having to go, to the doctor. I feel like, and then we're color women on top of that. So like on top of that, it's like I'm a woman, I'm already being discriminated against because these drugs are not even meant for me, and I tell people, again, doctors don't even know. So for me, I'm my own doctor. I'm sitting here like, I know my body. So I write everything down that I do, and my doctor writes everything down. And I feel like at the end, like I do see very tiny progression, very tiny changes, because in my doctor's office, there's an enormous like 10-foot screen now that says endometriosis on it. So I do see that. And he's not an endometriosis specialist. He's not. But he has a big ass screen. I'm like, where was this 10 years ago when I was going through it? When I felt like I had no information, I had to look it up just like everybody. Like, what is the name? What is this? But for me, I feel like we have all these things against us. And I used to work in the medical industry, and I used to be a translator, and I did other things. And, Hispanics or Latin or Afro-Latinas would come in, families, and right away, like, go translate. Half the time they didn't need translator, but sometimes they didn't. And I'm like, you're already discriminating against them. You're already putting them in like, oh, they don't speak English. I had a doctor that I worked for, and he was supposed to take all insurances, and I was in charge of the insurance. And I'm gonna put this out there. And there was a person that was a Medi-Cal, and they were older senior, and different race. And he's like, you know what? Tell them I'm busy. Tell them I'm fully booked and I don't want them because I'm not going to take their insurance because they're not going to be paying me, and
That's for
so
sure.
yeah. And I got deep into it, and I was like, damn, like, and that's why I go out there with facts. I don't want to be on social media not knowing what I'm talking about. I don't like not knowing. I literally read, back up, I educate myself. So that way when I'm out there, I'm telling you facts and the truth. I'm not going to sit here and lie and put false information. And if I have, by all means, correct me. By all means. I love it. I don't mind. But again, I feel like as women, as color women, it's like we are faced with double the challenges because culture, where we were raised culturally different. We see things culturally different. For example, when I was on my period and I'd be heavy, my mom and my grandma would give me tea. Tea, here, get that. No, doctor, here's
My
some
mom
tea.
too.
It's like, and I'm like, you know what? This is really bad. I'm missing school. I'm bleeding for fucking 12 days straight. Like, this is not normal. Why am I reading that period should only be like 3 to 5 days? Or my girlfriend's like, mine's only 5 days. I'm like, well, why am I like freaking, bleeding through my bed sheets, I'm like 12 years old. That's not normal. And that's where oh, that's normal. Oh, that pain is normal. Oh, that blood is normal. No, it's not. It's not. If I have to get 2 blood transfusions for my period, that is not a normal period. You know what I'm saying? So ultimately, I do feel like in the beginning, when we started this, we were all like, hey, we couldn't find any platforms that represented us. Or, hey, we tried to reach out to them, but they were majority Caucasian. Nothing against that, but it's like, we don't all look like blonde, blue eyes. We're not all, born here and we're not, not all of us are privileged. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, but I feel like when I'm around you girls and I'm talking to you girls, I feel like you guys get me because we maybe grew up very similar, culturally background, and we look similar and, we look different. And I love looking different. I love it. I embrace it. When I was younger, I kind of hated it. Now I'm like, yeah, I'm mixed. This is who I am. And I'm proud of it. But I feel like we are always, I don't know why we're discriminated against, but I do see small changes. I think because of the whole Black Lives Matter now, we're able to speak a little bit more about it. So I love that. I'm like, and it's funny because people get a little uncomfortable when you're talking about it. And it's like, dude, those are things I had to put up with. I deal with racism all the time because where I live, it's majority Republican white. And maybe like 2 years ago, some lady got crazy on me, and I was buying a Christmas gift. And I'm not looking for trouble. I was dressed very sophisticated. She's, you dirty brown this, you dirty this, you dirty that. Yeah, I'm like, wow. Yeah.
I don't do well with that. I live in Maryland.
For real.
Yeah, girl.
For real.
Yeah. Oh, and then my
like,
husband and I look different too. My husband's light-skinned Native American mix. So we look different. So they look at us like sometimes, and we hate that, but we're like, whatever, we're over it,
And
that's crazy. I did the piece on the BBC, and they were asking about, like, they did a piece on endometriosis. It was a follow-up from another piece that they did before, and I was like one of the main people in it, plus 2 other women. But they got a complaint saying, "Oh, why are you making endometriosis black?" Excuse you?
Excuse me? We both were like,
there was I think 2 other Black women. So I'm mixed. My mum's Irish, dad's Black, mixed up Black. And then I think there was 2, they say brown girls, 2 Indian girls. And yeah, that was it. But predominantly, it was predominantly all white women. I was like, how are you making it black? Oh, is it because of this Black Lives Matter? Now you're, it's like, what are you really there writing in these complaints?
wow.
Are you serious? It's good, like the messages, they contacted me, they're like, oh, have you had any sort of any negative feedback? And I was like, no, I've actually been congratulated, and people were happy to see someone representing them on the screen than seeing the same story and it's just predominantly white people.
Especially on BBC. Especially
right.
on BBC.
My mom, she was just like, I'm just so proud of you. And then that's another thing, like when I've told my GP, they were like, oh, what's your background and where are your parents from? They would straight away say Africa. And I was like, no, my dad was born here, but it's mixed Caribbean and Cuban. And my mom's Irish. They're like, what? And I was like, yeah, and my mom has endometriosis.
Mm-hmm.
So is there not something that we can do? Oh no, I just think, just try transformatic acid, just try this, just try that. I'm like, no, this like me throwing up, me having clots, this like,
yeah.
So I've got my nails
size, right?
Clots the size of like this or even bigger, or they're like long and stringy, like all this kind of, and a heavy flow, that's not normal.
Yeah.
But the thing is why did you hesitate? Because I told you my mom is white.
Mm-hmm.
Because you automatically assumed that my mom was Black. And I'm telling you, my mom has endometriosis. She had a part hysterectomy. So would you not, hold on, I've got my book. You're 7 times more likely to have endometriosis. So I had to write down some little notes.
Take the facts though. That's what
right.
looks for.
There is. But then when you tell them that, they're like, and then they want to go on Google, yes,
Mm-hmm.
and then have a look and check and double check that. No check.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, my mum's sister, so my auntie has it too. So what are you telling me?
My older sister has it. I have 5 sisters. My older sister and I have it, but she didn't get diagnosed till her mid-30s. And I got diagnosed in my early 20s. And now my little sister just got her period, and she knows that I do this little awareness because she's made a little sign for me. So she kind of is aware of it. And she knows that she's pretty amazing. She knows she has to look out for these symptoms because of what I have. She tells me, like, she told me I got my period on my 13th birthday. I don't know if that's good news or bad. I was like, no, it's good. I go, and she goes, I know I have to keep an eye, like if I'm in pain because of what you have. And I'm just so proud of her that she's 13, because I didn't know that when I was 13. You know, I didn't know that I had to look out for these symptoms because I might have something more, but because she has an older sister that has it, I'm happy. I'm sad that I have it, but I'm happy because that means my little sisters, they could have a possibility of having a normal somewhat life. Because I feel like if they would have known from me from the beginning that I had it, I might have had a chance to have a baby. But I wanted to tell you, when you guys first invited me to do this, and I read that it was like the first African-American and colored women like leading conference, I started crying because I feel very honored to be part of this. I feel like, fuck yeah, like I'm proud to be fucking brown. You know what I mean? I'm proud of my skin color, and I'm not gonna sit here and fucking hide who I am. And yes, there needs to be more Latinas, Afro-Latinas, African-American, Caribbean, all types, Asians, you know, every type of race. We need to stick together because this illness does not discriminate. This illness isn't specifically choosing just this type of race. And that's the thing. I sit there and I write, I'm like, what is it? What is it? Because we're all different. We eat differently. We're from different regions. We're all mixed, but we all have it. So to me, it's more industrial. It's more genetic and environmental, you know, mixed with food. Like I've done a lot of research, but like I said, I feel like I'm very honored to be part of this. And I feel like the first leading, that's a big deal. Yeah. And I cried. So I'm very honored.
Don't make me cry, girl.
Right. Yeah. And you know what? And I see small changes like with this platform, Lauren, that this platform is really great. All of us are doing just such great work. And, I think as we continue to put pressure on the medical field, and they also, do apply their work and begin to really educate themselves, we'll keep on, seeing more improvements. Then, because I mean, right, we're Black people on here, we're people of color on here, we're LGBTQIA people on here, we're people from all walks of life, and all walks of life are watching. Probably even some men are watching this because a few days ago, I mean, my gosh, I got off work, and all of a sudden, because that's another boundary I set. Usually I'll respond to things sometimes when I'm off my day job, and I see all the hundreds of messages about, a lot of misgendering that's going on, and people are saying, what do you mean? No, men do not have endometriosis. I'm being added and stuff. Clear this up. And it's like, and that's why I just said, you know what? If you have to respect how people identify and their journey. If a man says I have endo, he has endo. I remember getting into it with someone because the always pads had taken off the woman symbol, and they're like, I don't understand why they did that. And I'm like, because it's not only women, men have periods also. And that became a whole dispute. And it's like, what, I'm not going to sit here and go back and forth with you. You're going to go online, as well as educate yourself. You can, if some of y'all can get on these little websites all day and laugh and joke around and create these memes, you can take a little time, online to educate yourselves as well. But I think as all of our movements continue to progress, and we begin to we begin to get more comfortable, because of course a lot of us in the Black community, the brown community, Asian community, queer community, we have levels of mistrust because of the past. A lot of times, a lot of medical professionals were trying to kill us. They didn't really want us alive. So, we're still, I think we're all still healing, and we're all,
Yes.
Yeah, mine's all the way over there. So, but yes, definitely get that book, y'all. Medical Apartheid, if y'all haven't. That people are, we are so used to levels of mistrust in the medical field. I'll have people say, "You are so bold, man, to get up there, being, looking like a boy and talking about, a vagina issue, that is so bold." But I'm like, I did, it's been part of my healing as well. And then, I personally, I just, want, I'm like, okay, I'll get out here, so others don't have to feel like, oh, well, I don't look like they do, or I don't have much money, or I don't have insurance, or I have Medicaid. 'Cause like Melissa said, the insurance prejudice is real. I can recall times, when I had insurance, time I was on Medicaid, times where I didn't have insurance at all. And sometimes it was very different treatment depending on, my insurance situation. But as long as, but as long as we all continue to build on our advocacy and all of these collective movements out here continue to grow, I think we will begin to see the changes that we need to see. And it's up
I
to the
will,
medical field to also begin to catch up with us.
I will say though, over here, compared to you guys in the States, it is different. Over here, I feel like we're not where you guys are.
I don't know.
And I think that's where like a lot of people, there's a couple of us and a lot of people, and a couple of us, and we have spoken, and they're like, I feel like a lot of people turn to me, and I goes, because we're now making this movement for people of color, for brown people, like we are doing this, and we have to do it because there's other people, charities and stuff out there that are not doing it.
Right.
And then that's why now they will come to us and ask us to do work for them. As long as you're paying me, then it's okay then. But no, but like,
you gotta.
but what I'm saying is I find we are at a different level, and we are behind. I don't know what it is, if it's the British thing as well. Oh no, we can't speak about that. Oh, it's that kind of attitude, and it's like, no, forget that. This is what needs to be spoken about. This is what needs to be tackled. We need to talk about everything.
Yeah, I agree with Leslie.
Like what you said, endometriosis, it affects everybody, regardless of color or anything. Your
Yeah, it
sexuality
doesn't discriminate.
doesn't matter. But over here, it is still of a struggle. I'm still fighting certain things and contacting, whereas we have to, a lot of our statistics are taken from America.
Oh, we don't have
not,
I was gonna say, are you in the UK? Or
yeah,
it's weird because I get a lot of support from the UK. I've done actually way more interviews for the UK, and I get a lot of facts more from the UK. Like, it's hard for me to find facts from the States. And I wanted to say, I agree with Leslie. I think as long as all of us worldwide, if we continue to, stomp and be like, hey, this isn't right. These aren't proper treatments. It's not the way to live. This isn't quality of life, how we're living, what we have to go through. Even doing the holistic route, I have to pay so much money just so I can feel like I have to pay acupuncture, chiropractor, physical therapy. I have to get massages. I have to use all these herbs that my insurance does not cover. And I have a very good insurance plan, and they don't cover that. And that's what really helps me. And it's like, to me, that's baloney. It's big pharmaceutical. It's a big company. They don't want to cure you. They just want you to spend their money on their treatments, on your pain management. Hey, oh, well, here are these pills. It's like, yeah, that'll take the pain away, but it's going to cause all these side effects if you continue to take them. And if you continue to take them, you take a whole bunch at once, you might kill yourself. That is not acceptable in my book. And I was actually going to school to be a doctor, and because I seen all this, I didn't want to. I didn't. I was just, and I had a free ticket, and I stayed with working with animals because I feel like I don't trust the medical field. I've had experiences, other people message me, and it makes me angry that doctors say these things, because you take an oath as a doctor, and I feel like endometriosis is just as common as diabetes and asthma. So why do we not have treatments for that? It affects women, it's affecting fertility, it's affecting our population, you know? So 60% of women are infertile. Yes, some of us don't want to have kids, but some of us do. And it's like, we should have that option. And I just feel like these treatments are not the way to live for someone. And I can't accept that this is what we're living in. And I feel as long as we continue to stomp and be like, no, we're not going to accept this, because I've read the history on it. Endometriosis has been around for over 200 years. They have actual like facts of like, oh, these women or these people, they have like these blood clots and things all over their body. And that's what they thought was endometriosis. They used to hang women upside down to see if that would help with, and it's just, like, it's just horrifying. And I feel like I agree, as long as we continue to push and we say, no, we're not accepting this anymore, you know, and we do maybe the holistic route, and they see that we're not buying into their freaking BS, then they'll see. And I have scientists message me and say, look, we don't have the funds, we don't have the money for it. And I'm like, no, it's not that. It's that you guys don't want to fund us. You don't want to find ways. And I understand, you know, but I feel like there's a lot of people that will try something natural for free, you know? So I help for free. I do anything for free. Like, as long as I'm helping you, interviews, anything, I'm there, you know?
For free, change that. For free, change that. But we could talk about that offline. Natalie, no, not for free.
Not for free. You guys got to teach me then. I just want to.
What you're worth, and you have to get paid. I understand doing the stuff for free because y'all did this for free, and you know, working with people and doing stuff like that. But certain things you have to get paid for. You have to, because this
For real.
this is your time. You know what I'm saying? This is the knowledge that you have skilled. Not skilled. This is the knowledge that you have accumulated over the time period of your own personal experience. So you're really not just sharing your information just to share it. You're sharing the information that you have studied, accumulated over years of your personal experience, and you're pushing that and giving that to other people. So you have to understand that you have to, you know, you have to unfortunately charge people, because that's the way of the world, and that's how you get paid, and that's how we get paid.
It's true. Yeah. Everything I've done stickers, I've done t-shirts, I've done that all out of my pocket, you know? And I have had some small donations from my girlfriends, like some of my Endo sisters have donated, and that's super sweet of them, you know? But yeah, the majority of the time I do things by myself, you know? And that's another thing that, yeah, like, we need help. Like, I can't be doing this by myself, you know? And that's the thing, we aren't funded certain times. So I feel like that's something we do need to, I don't know, get up there, right?
You know?
Yeah.
So speaking of, this is the last question. We talked about building, we talk about working together, we talk about all of these things. How do you think, last year was rough for the endometriosis community? I don't know if everybody, you know, could feel their energy, could see what was going on, but it was just things left and right that were happening that were just, did not sit right with my soul in particular, for me in particular. But how do we manage? How do we start building and working together as endo advocates? How do we use our platforms for good and start building partnerships that are partnerships that benefit both parties, both demographics, both states, both countries, whatever you want to call it? How do we do that in a respectful way? Respectful.
Let me read my notes.
I think it's just supporting each other. I think it's constantly sharing each other's, like, I like when people share my posts and they tag me. I think a lot of that, maybe tagging people. Also, a lot of times when I write facts, or if I'm writing something, I'll try to tag. I've been doing this recently. I've been tagging celebrities that have endometriosis, because I feel like the only way I'm gonna
messages don't. Yeah, I've been sending like messages and everything.
You've been sending? Yeah, so I've been tagging them, like, in our little stuff. I think, like, our table, I had tagged a couple, like the picture you guys. So I'm like, you know what? If I can get a celebrity, I do have friends in the movie industry and things like that. But I'm thinking, man, it would be really great if a celebrity who has endometriosis sees this and sees what we're doing. So I've been trying. I always support anyone, all my girls. If you have good info and you only have 2 followers, I'll post that info because it's good. You know, if you have 1,000 followers or what, I don't care how many followers you have. If you have good information, I post it. I tag you and I give you credit. And I also reach out to girls like, hey, do you want to share your story? Do you want to be featured on my blog? You know, and I share them, I give them links, you know, and I try to put my stickers in the Los Angeles forest, even though I might not be able to, but I take my stickers everywhere, wherever I'm at. I'm like, I stick them there. I have a lot of guy friends. I tell them everything about Endo. I'm like a fact walking machine. I swear it's crazy. I feel like it's too much sometimes, but like they said, we need to get out there and do it. And I feel like as long as we support each other constantly, as far as like sharing info, being supportive, being positive, I feel like that might, I don't know what else. And maybe getting together like how we just did today, like this is really nice that we did. I feel really good talking to you girls. So.
Yeah, continuing to build and like y'all said, continuing and also getting paid. I know at the first summit, online summit I had last year, you know, people gave, had sponsorships. I mean, you know, because it's really important in this work to get paid. I see people online that was debating about that, you know, people getting in their feelings because we're asking for money, but it's like, no, we got to live. We're giving y'all all this information. This is what we do. Then like Lauren said, this is what we've, you know, been going through for years and applying this and giving this to you. We're getting paid for it. And there's nothing wrong with that. So just being at an and just like y'all said, you know, sharing people's stuff, you know, finding kind of a common bond there and, you know, just continuing to build.
I just want to piggyback off of that real quick. I find it interesting. So what I've experienced, me being someone who, although I talk a lot about endometriosis, of course, but I have all these other like beauty kind of avenues. I have a lot of makeup brands. I've had lingerie brands and things like that that reach out to me that want me to post their product, but talk about endometriosis while posting their product. But because it's like a, you know, chronic illness, I shouldn't be asking for compensation. And it's kind of like you want to seem down, like you're concerned about this thing, but really you just want free promotion of the product that you are trying to promote, which I find very interesting. But
I get that too.
I'm like, hey, and that's why, Melissa, I really hope, you know, you shift gears, because I'm like, hey, no, I'm not doing that. You want me to tell my endometriosis story? My followers know the story. They've heard it plenty of times, so I'm going to need that compensation. You know what I mean? You want me to promote the product and talk about it, and you want to seem like you are, you know, aware of what's going on. And, you know, since I talk about endometriosis month coming up, a lot of them are trying to, okay, well, can we use, you know, your platform to promote,
you know what happened
recently was lingerie. Can we use your platform more to talk about lingerie, but also like your experience with endometriosis and sex? And I'm like, sure. For a rate, for some money, I can do that. So I just find that really interesting. But I think it's important for all of us, you know, to put our foot down and say, hey, like, you know, I'm doing this out of, you know, more, you know, the kindness of our heart, but we have to get paid. This is taking time away from our friends, taking our time away from my family. My best friend, I haven't seen her in 2 years. We've been since I was 9 years old. She's sitting right in front of me. She just got here. And it's like, you know, if I can sit here and take time away from those things that are important, then I need to be compensated for it.
Yeah, like going off a bit off subject of the pay thing, with like supporting other endo sisters, endo warriors, I find that some people are actually doing it because they genuinely want to do it, and some people are doing it for the likes and for the followers, and then it's like you know, like with me, I when I started, I didn't have a lot of followers. I just did it because I just set up my page because it's something that I wanted to do, and I wanted to express myself and get it out there and interact with other women. But you know, like everyone's like, oh, you need to get your likes up, and you know, you need to get your followers. I don't do it for that. And then it's like, oh, okay, well, you know, like if you do this with me, then, you know, I'll get these amount of people to follow you. If people want to follow me, that's totally fine. I'm not forcing anyone to follow my page. If you want to work with me or do, like I do a Sunday sip, if you want to do a Sunday sip with me, then we can sit down and we can do that. You know, that's fine. If you want to collaborate with on something, then that's fine. Let's go, let's do it. But then there's some people that are out there that, you know, I've had messages like, oh, I've posted this and someone's stolen my post or my picture that I've done, and they've claimed it as theirs and they've posted it and then they've got more likes because they got more followers. I'm like, are we really doing this?
For real.
Mm-hmm.
Is this
I've
really?
had that before as well.
And then
Yeah.
you've got, and then also as well, what I have found from last year, charities clashing.
Yes.
What the heck, right?
What the hell is going on? We're meant to be united and we're meant to
Absolutely.
support. This is what we're meant to do. Charity is you've written it down and said that that's what you're doing. So do that. Why is because another charity is doing something, you're kicking up a fuss. Oh, well, I was doing that first. Or no, I was doing that first. Oh, well, I've kind of changed it. So, I can still go with it. No, everyone just do everything. Inform other people about what you're doing. Lauren would know what I'm talking about. Like, inform other people about what you're doing. It's cool. If you've seen something that, or a post, or seen something that someone else is doing, then contact that person and be like, do you mind if I jump on that with you? Or do you mind if I, like when Lauren was doing Walk with Endo, and I'm a PT, yeah? So for me, I was like, do you know what? I'm gonna get some of these girls out, COVID, lockdown, walk with Endo, let's go. Just make sure you tag Endo Black in it and hashtag. You didn't even need to tag me, because the original idea for me, where I got it from, was from Endo Black. I made that connection. Let's go. It's also getting Endo Black recognized over here as well, because other people are seeing those tags. This is what we do, help and support each other. But a lot of that, there's clashes or people using other people and, stealing from them. I'm like, are you being serious? We go through enough already with endometriosis, adenomyosis, fibromyalgia, all the chronic illnesses, than to be going through this. Mm-hmm. Are we say primary school, you guys would say kindergarten.
I feel like I'm in La La Land. I was like, this was happening? Where was I?
Yes. I was shocked. When I really got serious with endo queer. Oh, sorry. When I really got serious with endo queer, and then people were messaging me, oh, you don't want to mess with this organization. Oh, you don't want to mess with these people. Oh, these people are thieves. These people are fake. So it was
cool.
mind blowing to me too.
Wow.
I mean,
that's unacceptable.
I think that
I wouldn't think that would happen in this kind of community, because like you said, like it's supposed to be
a tight-knit community
together. Like, I'm always sharing things from all different type of endo pages that I see, and I'm just reposting them. Like, hey, like here's some more information. I didn't know this, so here you go. So that's
right, because we all post information. So that is the big thing about it. I think moving forward, this is a new year. Whatever happens. Whatever happened last year. But I think that, just being mindful, tokenism is a thing. It definitely is a thing. We are aware it's a thing. We make the right decision or we make wrong decisions. And I think it's okay to make a mistake. And I also believe that this year we're not doing the clashing thing. Anybody wants to clash, they can clash on their own time. But we know who we work with. And we know where our support comes from. Just like Melissa said earlier, we all know where our support comes from. We all know who we work with, and we know where we'll continue to work and who we'll continue to support. So those are some of the things that I just wanted us to be able to talk about this, because I think that endo advocacy has so many layers. It has so many layers with it having stuff to do about our personal, being vulnerable, being making sure that we're doing self-care for ourselves, making sure that we're supporting each other, collaborating with the right organizations that really have a really idea of who we are, not doing this for the likes, not doing it for popularity, because being vulnerable for popularity is not a thing. It's just not a thing. And it can really get in the way, and people honestly can tell. I think people being genuine is a thing, and we can see through it. So for that, I think we've come to a place where we're getting so much better. In 2021, like I said, we're not doing any clashes. We're not going to have all, I love this word, the malarkey going on. But what we are going to do is build. This whole conference is centered around building and being our authentic selves and supporting each other while we're doing it. So with that being said, I just want to say thank you to each of you for coming, speaking, sharing information about your platform. Before we head out, I do want you each to go around the room, tell people where they can follow you, find you, if they can donate to you, tell them everything, and tell them, just a little token of advice if they are interested in being an endo advocate.
I'll go ahead. So my name is Casey Hinds, but you guys can follow me on Instagram at It's Casey Joe for pretty much anything beauty as well as endometriosis. YouTube, it's Casey Joe, same thing, beauty and endometriosis, and on TikTok. So I'm actually very active on TikTok, where I'm more so just showing my personality and being crazy, but I talk a lot about endometriosis on there as well. There's actually a huge endometriosis platform. I don't know if you guys know that, but TikTok is really huge with endometriosis. So if you're not on it, get on it. It's fun. It's a fun way to kind of, interact with other people that you probably wouldn't have met before. Nothing to donate to, but feel free to DM me with any questions. Or I love when people give me advice on what to talk about, just because sometimes I do have a moment of just brain fart. I don't know what else I could possibly say. So yeah, DM me and I'd love to talk to you guys.
Go ahead, Nat.
No, I was saying Les.
Oh, okay. I'm Les Henderson. I put the information in the chat box there. I have a private Facebook page for anybody, in the queer community, that wants kind of more of that, kind of intimate setting with people, that you can really chat with and, and communicate with. It's really cool. That's on Facebook. The page is there. Instagram, Endo Queer. You can on the website endoqueer.com, the donation link is coming soon. I'll put more information in the chat box, and also on the Instagram, on the link there, you can subscribe to the newsletter.
Melissa, thanks, Les.
Okay, so you guys can find me on Instagram, the Endo Honeybee. I'm only on Instagram. I do little stickers, I do t-shirts. So if you guys want to donate, you guys can go ahead and DM me. I talk a lot about medical cannabis. I also talk a lot about herbs and massages, more like a holistic type of field. I'm also kind of a hippie. I have a lot of animals and I do archery. So I do have archery on there. I just started getting a little bit more personal. I was mainly just making it about the women and sharing stories, but now I've shared a little bit more about me because people have requested more photos of me and they want to know who I am as a person. But yeah, the Endo Honeybee, you guys can find me on there. Send me messages anytime you want. I'm always there for dog questions. I've been a dog groomer for 13 years, so I know a lot about animals too. So I'm always there for anything. And if you want to share your story, be featured on my blog, go ahead and send me a message as well. And thank you.
You're welcome, Natalie.
So I'm predominantly active on Instagram. If you go on to Nat-Blake _warrior, I've just launched some, I've got the jumper on now.
Nice.
Nice jumpers.
I can get one of those. I love hoodies.
Yeah, it's very lightweight and oversized. So when you got that flare, or if you're on those horrible menopause injections, you're good to go. It's nice soft material. I'm also doing, so yeah, if you go into the link into my bio, you can go onto the website through that. I'm also doing a couple of events for Endometriosis Awareness Month. So I've got a heels dance class. You don't have to wear your heels. So that's next week, Saturday. And then I've got a twerking class with another fellow endo sister. That is the following week. And then I will be doing soca aerobics.
Ooh.
So all the links for the tickets. Pardon?
I want to twerk. I want to go to the UK.
No, you can get the ticket. It's all going to be on Zoom. It'll be fun.
There you go.
Yeah, and then there's this donation, and then yeah, I'm donating all the tickets. The ticket money's being donated to 4 different charities.
I love that. Thank you, Tamesha.
My name is Tamesha Barnes. You can find me on Instagram at ms_Endo I also have a Facebook group, Endometriosis, aka The Unseen. which is actually the title of a poem that I wrote about endometriosis entitled The Unseen. And I also have a bakery page, sifted_pleasures. If you want to just look at some sweet treats, you can find me there. You can DM me with any questions that you may have, and I'm here to help.
Do you deliver to the UK?
I'll be shipping soon, hopefully.
You can have my address now.
Everyone, thank you so much for being on this platform. We are so excited. Please, 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 for everybody that's watching, stay tuned to our next panel discussion. I hope to see you there. Thank you. Hello, everybody. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So we're going to do a Q&A very quickly. I know that I mentioned that we are going over. If you're able to stay, feel free to stay. If you cannot stay, we totally understand. So we're going to bring our panelists back up so that they can answer some of your questions. And I know that, we want to make sure we get some of your questions answered. So please, please, please bear with us. We have a couple of questions. Ladies, you can come to the front of the stage. As they're coming in, hey, Melissa. Hey, Les, how are you? Hey, Natalie.
Hey.
Hey. Yes, Tamesha, are you there? If Tamesha is not there momentarily, it is perfectly fine.
Hey, I'm here.
All right, so really quickly, we have a couple of questions. And thank you all for being so patient. Like I said, I know we rushed through that a little bit. However, we will have that recorded and you will have full access if you purchase a general admission or early bird ticket. So really quick, the first question I want to ask is, this is from Anonymous, how can I, as a white queer person with endo, help center Black voices in my own advocacy journey, I'm sorry. Liz?
Definitely, and I'm sure others will want to chime in, but definitely continue to speak up, speak out. Everyone has some type of access. Even if we don't see it, we have some type of influence, some type of access in the world. You say that if you hear, if you need to correct your friends, correct your family, correct your colleagues, do so. I mean, I've had many people in my personal life, or, something will happen and then they'll come to me privately, be like, I can't believe that happened. But I'm like, you stood there and did nothing. You can't be fearful when you're doing this. If you're going to advocate, really advocate. And sometimes some people, especially in the advocacy world, they have a habit of speaking for us, but it's like, no, you give us the floor to speak. You listen to us. You listen to us when we're telling you our experience. Don't try to undermine us. Don't try to, act like you know more about what's going on, with Black, queer, and people of color when you don't have that perspective. So definitely just continue to speak up, be courageous, and use your influence and correct people when they need to be corrected.
Thank you for that, Les. Did anybody have anything else to add? Okay.
I couldn't have said it anything anyway better.
First of all, I just want to say I love your hair, by the way. I
know, me too.
Listen, after those menopause injections, the hair is growing back nicely.
Oh, it's
looks
so
cute.
and bushy.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I'm currently another anonymous. I'm currently trying to get diagnosed with endo, and a few gynos would bypass my pain and go straight to my weight. Has anyone else had that issue with their doctor?
Yeah. Same here.
Go on, Melissa. Yeah, go.
I would say with my experience, I had to go to multiple doctors. And finally, when I found that doctor that had good background, and I think educating yourself on your doctors, where you're going, you can do background checks on doctors. That's what I do. I do background checks. I look where they went to school, how long have they been doing this, and also what kind of insurance do they take? Make sure it's beneficial for you, that you can afford it, because you don't want to be in debt and in pain. But I feel like you need to tell them, hey, look, I think I have endo, because that's what I said. I go, hey, this is all my paperwork. I think I have endo. bring up that word to them, endometriosis. From there, it's a long process that you might have to go through, but at least you just have to keep pushing them. Keep saying, hey, look, this is what I think I have. And go to different doctors. You have that option to go to different doctors. That's why we pay for insurance. That's why we're here. That's why they have all that research. So do your research, go to multiple doctors, and just be straight up and be like, this is what I think I have. Can you please check that? Because I'm having a lot of symptoms like it. Because that's what I said. I was 20 years old and I was like, this is what I have. I collected all my medical history as well. Making a binder of your medical history is really beneficial, and doctors love that because you have everything there and they can look at everything. So I think that's all I have to say.
Thank you, Melissa.
Sorry, you were saying about the weight?
Yes.
That was the question, yeah?
Mhm.
Yeah, because I'm a PT, I was told to stop
PT?
lifting weights. I'm a personal trainer.
Thank you. Because
Yeah, sorry.
I do that. Yeah.
Yeah, they said to me, oh, you know, your BMI is high, but your body fat is low. So you're probably lifting a bit too much weights. You know, we need to get it down to a certain level for certain medications and before you can go and have an operation. And I was just like, what? What's my weight? What's my weight got to do with it? And if you're saying my body fat percentage is low, so I'm just pure muscle, what do you want me to do? What do you want me to look like, a toothpick? Like, I don't get, like, what has that got to do with it? But then it's crazy because I was told, I had the implant in, and I was told if you don't have the correct implant in with the amount of hormones it's supposed to be for your body weight, like, you could still fall pregnant. You're not told that at the start. You know, so I didn't realize, and I didn't know how much body weight is supposed to be a factor in everything, in what you take, like what contraception they put you on. They don't really tell you these things. They just ask you the question and then make you feel uncomfortable because your BMI might be high. But what the thing is with BMI, and this is where a lot of doctors go a little bit wrong. This is what I think. Even though your BMI might be high, your muscle weight, your body fat percentage can be low. So that means your muscle is weighing a little bit more than but it's so technical. But for them, they don't go into that. They were just like, yeah, you just need to stop lifting weights. You need to get this down. And I was just like, yeah, but then I'm going to look like a toothpick. I like my curves. So
yes, honey.
How am I going to get you want me to lose my bum? You want me to lose my thick thighs?
My bum.
Hello, thick thighs save lives. Yeah. I don't want to lose that.
I'm not messing with you today, Natalie.
Sorry, the afros, I'm on one today. Sorry, I took the hair out.
I love the energy. Keep it going. Arlen has a question. She wants to know, do you think endometriosis is part of the reproductive justice movement? What do you think? So it's a two-part question. What do you think needs to be done to center endo as a conversation in the reproductive justice circles? That's a really good question. Anybody?
Do you mind reading it again?
Yes.
Sorry.
We'll go to it. Do you think endometriosis is part of the reproductive justice movement?
Definitely.
Okay, and then what do you think needs to be done to center endo as a conversation in the reproductive justice circle? Yeah, it's not centered right now.
I think we need to be educated in school about endometriosis. Like when we took health class, I remember learning about STDs. And I remember them showing us a photo of a penis, but I never remember them showing me a picture of a vagina. And so I think it's important for sex education, maybe in high school to be shown. And I think that's where endo needs to be thrown in there. Like, hey, ladies, if you're having a heavy period, it could be endometriosis. I did it was also like a Q&A, a panel a couple years back for teenagers. And I told them my story. And after it was done, girls came up to me and they were hugging me, like 12, 13-year-old girls. and they were saying, I think I have endo. And I never knew this because in school they don't tell us. And, you know, here and this was a church thing. It was a church thing that I went and I did. And it was actually all African-American little girls. And it was amazing, you know? So I do think if we're educated in school, I think that'll help with normalizing periods, normalizing, talking about biology, talking about even with things going on with males. Maybe there's things going on with males, you know, stuff that we don't know, just like things that are going on with women. I feel like we're not really taught to love our body and to learn about our body. And I think if we speak about it at a young age and we're educated, I think that'll help with the younger generation. Just like my sister knowing these symptoms versus when I was that age, I was 11 when I got my period. I had no idea what. All I knew is that it meant that I could have kids now, and that I had to like obviously take care of myself. And it's like, I'm 11 years old. That's not what I need to know. I need to know, like biology wise, like symptom wise, like not, oh yeah, you can have a kid now. It's like, no, more like you need to look out for this because you could have cysts, fibroids, you know, it's not just endo, there's all kinds of other reproductive issues that are happening.
And I'm sorry, I don't want to cut you off, but we're at 2:33.
So I'm done.
I don't want to, you know, rush you off, but I do want to get ready for the next panel. I do want to ask this next question. Danielle McGill asks, how do you guys express having endo to your families? For example, during holidays, Thanksgiving or Christmas, explaining to them you cannot eat certain things because of your endometriosis. How do you explain that?
I bring my own food.
Me
I'll be
too.
like, look, Auntie, this is what I'm cooking. This is for me. I'll be like, what are you making? What are you making? Okay, cool. I can't eat that. I can't. Like with my family, we're all very open and very real and raw with each other. You know, we take the mick out of each other and all that kind of stuff. But I think because obviously they know what I'm going through and that, they do ask though. They do ask like, can you eat this? Can I use this oil to cook? You know, because I've communicated with them. And I've had to say like, look, I can't eat this and I can't eat that. And sometimes I would just bring my own meal with me to cook or cook beforehand, because I would kind of feel like I don't want to, what's the word? I don't want them to feel uncomfortable or like be panicking about making a meal for me and then making a meal for the rest of the family.
Because they by it.
Pardon?
They may feel overwhelmed by it.
Yeah, but then I think they've kind of got used to it in a way. But yeah, at the start, I'll get the phone calls. Can you eat this? Can you eat that? Da, 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 da. And I'd be like, no, yeah. You know, but then I would feel good. And then because they're supporting me and I'm like coming off the phone like, yeah, they got my back.
That's good. Thank you for that. And then the last question is, what options are there other than birth control? And I know that this is going to be interesting. So definitely I want everybody to share this.
For me, birth control almost killed me. So I started learning about like holistic supplements. They have tons of holistic supplements that help with hormone balance. They have also some that actually prevent you from getting pregnant. You know, also for me, it's more like I'm into plants and herbs. So that's what I look for, alternative things as far as that. And really balancing your hormones. That if you balance your hormones, that tends to help tremendously with everything. So for me, supplements and herbs are what work as an alternative because I do not use birth control and I do not like it. I'm really against birth control for me because it's a synthetic hormone going into my body and my body completely denies it. So for me, what works for my body is natural things. So just find something that works for your body, give it at least 3 months. Don't just give it a week or two, give it a good 3 months. It takes time for your body to get used to something and for you to see progress. So don't lose hope and just keep doing what you're doing, something that works for you.
Same. I mean, but then I understand, you know, working in holistic health too, sometimes the accessibility is not always there, but if you do live near like a health food store, or you can grow your own stuff, definitely do so. Like for me, kelp has helped me, especially around fibroids. It's helped me around bad periods. But then at the same time, you know, if you can't help it, because hey, it happens, you got to get on a pain reliever if that happens. You know, sometimes you just got to do that. You got to get, you know, some people have to get a shot. You got to do what you have to do. It's just a matter of finding what's best, you know, for you to do as well. And I'm not one of those people where, because I know diet doesn't work for everybody. I know, Lauren, we're running out of time, but definitely, you know, making some changes in your diet. I'm not saying it's the solution, but for me personally, it's helped me around like pain, and it's helped me around certain lab results I get. So definitely, you know, just, you know, do a mix of whatever you can do, you know, what's best for you, but don't let a doctor make you feel like you have to do something. You know, definitely, you know, if you're not feeling
That's the
good,
thing.
yeah, if you're not feeling good about it, if something's going wrong, you know, definitely hit your doctor up and let them know.
pelvic floor exercises as
Yeah,
well can help.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Sure.
If you can get
it was a huge help for me.
You said what, Tamesha?
Pelvic floor physical therapy was a huge help for me.
yeah.
So that's something that you may want to look into as well. And like Les said, the diet doesn't work for everybody, but I know personally for me, I found out that beef was actually a trigger for me. So I cut beef completely out of my diet 5 years ago, and I noticed a significant decrease in my pain levels.
Thank you,
Well,
Tamesha.
congratulations.
Yeah. Thank you, everybody, for being on this panel discussion. I definitely want to share. I want to remind everybody that we are not medical professionals. So I don't want you to say that Natalie told you to do this, or that Les told you to do that, and then you get mad when it don't work. Everybody
So
has,
it was the Afro
Yes.
talking.
she
It
said
was the Afro talking.
we have to figure out what works best for ourselves. It's very important to do research, to do trial and errors, but it's also important to have communication with people that also have endometriosis. So whatever Natalie, Les, Melissa, Tamesha, Casey talked about today is very, very important for you to look into for yourself to see if that's something that you want to do for yourself. So I want to say thank you so much for joining us, the Endo Advocacy Group. Again, I know we ran over time a little bit. However, you can catch the full video of this discussion, which is probably going to be 2 hours long. And you know, we can talk whenever, how long we want to. But if you have paid general admission or early bird tickets, you will receive full access to the entire conference, and you will receive that information after the conference. Just give us the time. We are a small team, but we are working hard to make sure that you get all of that information.